I think the human life of God is showing us in the Son is that just the taking the lowest seat and taking the lowest place is where God is. And if you want
Yes.
to join God, it's not do this to be exalted.
Yeah.
The exaltation is in the humility. The
Yeah.
exaltation is in the cross. The
Yeah.
exaltation is in serving. And yes, in the kingdom of heaven, you're going to shine as bright as the sun.
I'm talking with Father Kenneth Tanner, and you're one of my favorite people to connect with on the podcast. It's been a minute since you've been on. Yeah, 31 years yesterday. My wife and I
That's
celebrated.
congratulations to you
Yeah.
both. Yeah.
How
Yeah.
about
Some
you?
of my favorite conversations, I think I've been on this show twice. It's been a few years, but some
Yeah.
really my favorite podcast conversations were recorded with you. So
Come on.
going back and listening to him, I was like, yes, he really understands what I'm up to.
That's amazing. I actually, I don't know that you're aware of it. I had a book come out. We're going to talk about yours, but I had a book come out, Rethinking God with Tacos. And really what I did was we hit like 18 themes, starting with what is the gospel, incarnation, just themes that we cover on the podcast. And in each chapter, I highlighted voices on that particular subject. And you're in a couple of these chapters. So I
gotta
highlight our
get that.
conversation.
Is it on Amazon?
Yeah, I'll get you a copy.
Okay.
But
Cool.
but
A great cover.
yeah. Talking with publishers. I haven't seen. Do you have a cover for your book yet?
I do. And the secret is that I think my first copy of that book is arriving any moment.
Oh, that's fun.
So, yeah, we're not gonna open it until the grands are over here later tonight. But I'm 98% sure it's coming today and not tomorrow. They got 6,000 copies in the warehouse at Baker, and so their policy, I guess, is to overnight a single copy to myself, and I guess Brian wrote because Brian wrote a forward to it. He is
He'll
supposed to
get.
get a copy. Yeah.
Yeah.
So it could be tomorrow, but I think not longer than tomorrow. But we can put the cover in the show notes or something. But it's really lovely. It's Lyuba Yatskiev, a Ukrainian iconographer that I really like. She's from the same school as Ivanka Demchek and so forth. And it's a picture of Jesus. He has the wounds in his hands and side, which is unusual.
Yeah.
And I really love the cover. I just thought that I was like, I had some imaginations about it, but it was so much beyond my best imagination about what it
That's
could be.
amazing.
So I'm so happy with it. Yeah.
Congratulations, brother. This
Vulnerable
is
God.
a vulnerable God. Yeah, vulnerable God. First book. I mean, you've been writing for a long time.
There's the cover. I don't know how well it'll come out on
Yeah.
the.
Oh my goodness, that is beautiful.
Yeah.
Oh wow.
So, yeah.
I was telling you before, I absolutely love this book, brother. I mean, I'm devout
Grateful.
every new section. I was like, oh my gosh, this is so good. So I am thrilled. When's it released? We're going to dive into it, but
September 29th
September
is when it comes out officially. People who pre-order it will probably get it a day or two before or just after that. So it's about 6 weeks away from being all over the place. Barnes and Noble, you can order it on the Baker site and Amazon and the whole nine. So
I love it. I'm telling you guys, it's just vulnerable God, but it is not I keep putting that in front of it, but beautiful. Hey, share a little bit. At this point, I've been connected and following you. Probably before we had you on. The podcast is 7 years old, so maybe 5 or 6 years ago. Your voice is one that has been a steady voice of encouragement, is particularly where where I featured you even in the book is around the body of Christ and around community and what it looks like to be present. I'm grateful for you and for your the language and voice that you've added to this union message, this gospel message. But share a little bit about where you are, who you are, what you're doing, and then let's dive in, brother.
Yes, so I was raised Pentecostal. I'm from a third generation Pentecostal family in East Tennessee. And my mother's father was a Pentecostal minister all over the state of Florida, literally from Key West to Panama City. My grandparents were parts of the early East Tennessee revivals. My father parents and moved to Orlando. So I was raised in that holiness Pentecostal, very Jesus soaked
Yeah.
environment, blood and wound mysticism, as Chris calls it, speaking in tongues and all the things. And my father was killed in Vietnam. I talk about that in the book. Um, and that led me into more connection with my father's parents, um, and which the book is dedicated to my father's mother, Leela, who's
Mm.
also my oldest grandchild has her name.
Okay.
And
Leela.
they were just deep lovers of Jesus, readers of scripture, intercessory prayer, warriors, beautiful people.
Yeah.
And so I spent a lot of time in their home on the weekends growing up because my mother was widowed. And she had me and I had three younger sisters. So my grandparents helped out a lot.
Right.
And my mother ended up remarrying a young minister in the Church of God,
Right.
um, who took the family eventually into the charismatic renewal. And so I was raised my middle school and high school years were very much in charismatic, churches,
Yeah.
and I ended up at Oral Roberts University in Tulsa. We had moved to California from Florida, and yeah, I had an encounter with Jesus at Oral Roberts. Oral Roberts in the 70s and 80s, 60s, it's with a really, really rigorous, beautiful, uh, scholarly place. As weird as the spirituality was, I had great teachers. You know,
Yeah.
people when Oral started that school, and I don't know how you want me to tell my story, but you might have just wanted me to say that I'm the pastor of Holy Redeemer in Detroit,
I love it. I love it.
I um I the spirituality was a little weird, but I
Yeah.
began encountering the first Christians, and I talk about this a little bit at the beginning of the book. And I began to see a bigger picture
Yeah.
of Jesus. Yes, the Pentecostal vision of Jesus is beautiful, and some of the things I was learning, as I grew up. Um, but I began to see that there are traditions and there are teachings and there are practices, and it's been around for a lot longer than Azusa Street, uh, and so I just really started to see that there are so many facets to the mosaic if I want to see the full picture of the person of Jesus. And I began to get exposed to that, and that led me to reading more theology. We've been reading theology from my middle school years onward. I was an unusual kid. And that took me into the company of Thomas Oden, who was a mentor to me for several years. I went to parochial seminary and was ordained a deacon and then a priest in California. And while I was working in newspapers, while I was working in corporations as a writer, basically, is what I was
Okay.
doing.
Yeah. Right.
So it was a kind of it was like a two-track kind of bivocational
Yep.
journey for me in the 90s.
Yep.
And so, anyway, I ended up in Chicago for 6 years working for a magazine after doing some priestly work in the late 90s in California at a multi-staff church. And
Yeah.
then in 2005, I was called to the parish that I serve now in Detroit. So I've been the pastor, going on 22 years
Yeah.
here in Detroit of Holy Redeemer. Um, it's a place where new and old meet,
Yeah.
and the renewal is also married to Eucharist and Electio and all other ancient practices, and we read the scriptures with the fathers, and we preach the scriptures with the wisdom of the whole church, men and women. And so, that's what I do.
Yeah.
We have 7 children. I have 4 grandchildren,
Wow.
which I love.
Yeah.
But all along I've been writing. And so the book comes out of really, I didn't talk about this in the book, but I did on a Substack article about how I wrote the book. This book was written in hospital waiting rooms, written on the side of the road, written in the midst of a pastoral life and bits and
Yeah.
pieces.
Yeah.
And then, I would share some things on social media, places like Mockingbird, places like Huffington Post, Christianity Today, places that were willing to, sojourners that were interested in what I was writing about. And so then this book comes out of a pastoral life.
Yeah.
That's who I am. I'm a pastor,
Yeah.
and contemplation of Jesus has been at the center of that.
Yeah.
So these meditations are the work of, a decade or so. And The thought for the book is, almost 20 years old. Yeah, I
Yeah.
first started thinking about this book in 2009, 2010. The structure came to me in 2018 or so, and I'd written little bits and pieces of it before then, but really from 2018 until 2024. Yeah,
Yeah.
most of this book was written, including 7 chapters that weren't in the plan that I wrote
That
in
happened.
2024
Yeah.
about the life of Jesus.
Yeah.
Because the structure that came to me was let's use the sacred year, yeah. And I just hadn't included, scenes from his life among us, yeah. And so anyway, that's how it came to fullness, and that's what I do, and that's how, the book. That's a long answer to
That's the
your
perfect.
question.
That's perfect, brother. I the journey you've been on, because this book for me is we I just had a call like an hour before we got on that we finished up, where I had an opportunity to teach in a spot, and I was laughing because I knew I was going to have you on an hour later. But the culmination of that entire time that we had together came down to this thought, and this is maybe we'll start the conversation on what you've written. But the Jesus didn't just come to show us, and this is my language that I'd put around it, and so I was saying this in the group. But Jesus didn't just come to show us what God is like, who the Father is, what is clear, but he also came to show us what it looks like to be fully human. And
Yeah.
this is vulnerable God. It is the human God, and the incarnation that you so brilliantly, from the beginning of his life all the way, the vulnerable reality of his birth, those hidden years, as you referred to them, all the way through the cross, through the ascension, through the resurrection and the ascension. And this book is walking us through from that paradigm, that incarnational, vulnerable God that flips the tables on our understanding and what we've been raised with. And I mean,
Mhm.
I'm telling you, I have got 3 markers when I read, and it's marked up. I was preparing, so I read a little different, but it is marked up. And then there's
3 markers, wow.
well, because then there's the ones you start marking all in one color, and you realize now I'm going to lose everything. I need to change, so I
Yeah.
make sure I hit this. And you know, I would say, you start with Jesus as the definitive revelation of God. Move into, but he's also the definitive revelation of humanity, and that
Mhm.
vulnerability is not a temporary strategy God adopts. Like you continue on into the incarnation, but maybe start at the beginning a little bit, because what I was saying and what I've experienced is that he showed us not, once upon a time it was Jesus showed us how to get to heaven, some distance and
Yeah.
separation. Then you realize, no, Jesus is the walking revelation of who God is, but he is revealing God as fully human, and he is revealing and inviting us to participate in our humanity through him. So that's
Yeah,
I'll stop
and
talking.
so
Go ahead.
yeah, and so, I'm reliant on John Bear and some of what I'm getting ready to say, but, for Athanasius, when we read on the incarnation, we begin to see. that he's not talking about what happens at Christmas. He's talking about what happens on Golgotha, right? The
Yeah.
incarnation, the fullness of incarnation is God in human flesh nailed to wood.
Yeah.
Yeah, so the fullness of what it means to be human. So Pilate says, behold the human. Yeah. And so he shows us what it means to be God and what it means to be human in fullness on the tree.
Yeah.
So and what we begin to see is that it's the crucified one who makes the world. And if that's true, and this interrupts some of our understandings of TikTok time, but if the one who was crucified at Golgotha is the one who creates the world, and so like you see in these icons of creation, like Lyuba's wonderful 6 days of creation, he has the nimbus which has the cross in it, and he has the wounds, and he's creating the world. Yeah, and so
Yeah.
that's going to mess with your sense of this happened and this happened and this happened and this happened, but nevertheless what it means to be human originates in the Son of God.
Come
Yeah.
on. Yeah.
Yeah. So what it means to be human is not what Cain did to Abel. Yeah. It is who the Son of God is from eternity. He is defining what it means to be human
Yeah.
before there are humans. We're made in the image of the crucified one. Yeah.
Yes. Yeah.
So that is the origin story of every human being,
Yeah.
is that we're made in the image of the crucified God, hanging from the cross. That that's not the story, you know, that a lot of us, grew
Right.
up hearing.
Right.
There was something, humanity was alien from God, yeah, and alienated from
Yeah.
God, and separate.
Yeah.
And that's some of the story. It's the story, even the scriptural story, right? Is that God in the beginning creates through the word, the world and everything that is from nothing,
Yeah.
and that the human beings are made in the image of God.
Yeah.
This is not just the origin story of believers in Jesus, but the origin story of every human who has ever lived,
Right.
ever will live, or who are living now.
Right.
So this puts our message in a very hopeful place. In
It
a
does.
and it puts our message in a very it's applicable to everyone. Um Before they've heard the message, before we show up to say anything about the gospel to anyone, God has already uniquely revealed himself to every human being as their creator and as their human brother.
Yeah.
So these are relationships that are indelible to every human being, regardless of their response to this message or whether they've
Yeah.
heard the message or not. Um, I walk into a coffee shop. Every person in that coffee shop, I work into an auto garage. I work into a doctor's waiting room. I walk into a bus depot. Every person that I'm meeting is already created by the word of God,
Yeah.
and they are already the brother of Jesus, whether they know this or not. Yeah.
Yeah.
Whether maybe they're running from it, maybe they reject that story, whatever it is. So um, that's where we start. And that's what we mean by incarnation. Yeah.
Yes.
And so the Esther's a long chapter. The longest chapter in the book is on the cross. But every aspect of the story, from his humility in being born into an impoverished family, probably in a cave with other animals in their shit, and without notice or fanfare, the only people that know it are poor shepherds. Yeah, and of course all the angelic hosts. And he shows up, and then he is unknown for 3 decades.
Yeah.
Without celebrity, without
Yeah. Yeah.
notoriety,
Yeah.
without fame or anything. God lives an ordinary, hidden, human life. And so, yeah, it's the most beautiful story that any human being can ever hear, or and beyond our ability to create. It's the work of God, and He has incorporated all of us into His story by
Yeah.
becoming one of us. And so yes, we do go
Yes.
through that from the moment of His appearance among us in the flesh
Yeah.
until His ascension back to the Father and the coming of the Spirit, in the
Yeah.
way that the sacred year, which by the way, maybe you worship in a church that doesn't use it, doesn't matter, because the sacred year belongs to all human beings, just like the story belongs to all human beings. It's just simply celebrating His birth, his baptism, the temptation of the wilderness, the various things, Transfiguration, Holy Week, and
Yeah.
so forth. So we tell those stories, but we also tell other stories about His life among us, and just trying to get at, from various degrees, like I was talking about, there's various aspects of facets of the mosaic. We're trying to, you know, piece together we're trying to seek the face of Jesus
Yeah.
and receive the wisdom that comes from His face and the light that comes from His face, the uncreated light of the Father that shines from His face.
Yeah.
And so we're doing this. Brian says in the forward, I'm an iconographer with words, and I'm like, I'm with the words, I'm trying to create an image of Jesus, and that's true. And reason I'm motivated to do it is because I would talk to people about Jesus,
Right.
and I realize they have been told a story. They've been told a different story. It doesn't have anything to do with our Lord. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah.
And so how do I tell that story in a way that's compelling and beautiful,
Yeah.
and shows people that they've already been in they've been incorporated by Jesus' incarnation, as we just
Yes.
talked about, as we understand
Yes.
it, not just His
Yeah.
birth, but all these events by grace, and that their origin is in His nature. Yeah.
Yeah.
And that their future is
Yeah.
in Him.
Yeah.
So again, I don't have short answers to questions.
I no, I'm not
But
looking for
anyway,
short answers. This is long form conversation, so we're in good. We've got all
yeah.
the time in the world. I'm telling you, as I'm reading this, and there's a lot that you said that we could hit on. Two thoughts: uh, the upside down way of, and it's only upside down because we were raised in a separation paradigm where power was explained to us through hierarchy and control and
Yeah.
dualist. This, when I wrote the book on the sovereignty of God, I,
Mm.
I basically what I was running at was that if you want to know what anything means, you look at the life of Jesus, and if you want to know what the sovereignty of God looks like, go no further than the cross. Go no further than Him washing feet.
Yeah,
That
yes. Yeah, it looks really different, doesn't it?
It
Yeah.
does, and I think you're speaking to the human God that reveals who we are. Jesus shows this is, but that hiddenness part is the one I want to talk about because I've got it all
Okay.
highlighted with the most
Yeah, let's get
with the
into it.
third level highlighter. And when you hit on hiddenness, for me, this idea Jesus shows us the way to be human as God is human. That's what you're
Yes.
talking about.
That's
But
what we're
his
talking
anon
about in the book.
yes, but his
Be
anonymity
human,
is
to my, there's like be yourself. There's like be all that you can be. And my motto is be human as God is human. That's
come
what,
on, and the liberty
and
of
and
the
and you can.
yes, you really that's to me the ultimate conclusion. At some point, we discover in this journey, this long arc of love, as Baxter refers to it, the long arc of love,
Hmm.
and
Yes.
that we are on a journey of discovering who we truly are, our humanity, and the invitation to participate in this incarnational life. But this
Yes.
hidden thing, this hidden aspect, I remember I was fast because I would get so annoyed when people. I grew up in the charismatic Pentecostal, more charismatic
Yes.
spaces as well. Desperation was one of the things I knew how to do well. That was the high water mark of spiritual maturity. All these things that come from separation. But the thing that I would always get annoyed by over my life would be they talk about ministry, and ministry was small. It looked like a Sunday morning, like a pastor would give a great preach and then shrink it to helping park cars on a Sunday. And I get so upset because I thought, my goodness, Jesus lived 30 years as a perfect ministry. We need to reframe our understanding of, and that was the language back then, was we need to reframe our understanding of ministry, that it is every one of us walking confident in his affection. And there were 30 years for me that were hidden years that we don't know much about. And yet, from the major shift in my life was when he gets baptized. And I was just sharing this with someone earlier today. He gets the well pleased. This is my son, whom I love. With him, I'm well
Mm.
pleased. And my whole paradigm for the longest time would have read that and asked the question, "What's the Father pleased with? He hasn't done anything yet." Because I had a sacred secular divide. I had
Yeah.
the separation on the lens. But I remember when I began to explore union, one of the first things one of the first epiphanies I had was reading that and realizing he got a well pleased before he did the stuff we would highlight as significant, which means that must be everything he did before was pretty significant. And you speak
Yeah.
to that in this book powerfully. Maybe share a little bit on the significance of those hidden years.
Yeah. Well, there is a passage in the Old Testament about how, the Father was always delighting, in the Son,
Yeah.
and in his play as he makes the creation and,
Yes.
was there with the Father and all things were being made from nothing and God delighted in him and in all of his works. Yeah.
Yeah.
Which was a powerful passage for the first Christians. But yes, I think, you know, eh, the being a carpenter and taking care of his mother, Joseph isn't on the scene and he's her caregiver and companion. And it was really important. Yeah. The work that he was doing and I think he read in the synagogue, and we know that he, talked to the rabbis, and he was probably a student in Alexandria, and he had a life like all of us do, of better days than others, and some mornings he got energy, some mornings he,
Yeah.
yeah, hungry or thirsty or whatever it is. And so he, normal human life. And I think we have, not everyone, but I think there is a kind of something that like air of like if you're in ministry, you know, y- y- it's like, you need to be a celebrity, you need to be known, you need to
Yeah.
be,
Yeah.
out there,
Yeah.
you need to make your mark. And
Yeah.
I think it's so interesting that Jesus, the Son of God, is, walking the earth prior to his death for 33 years. And, the vast majority of that, 90% of the time, we don't even
We don't know.
know what happened to him other than that episode in the temple.
Yeah.
And, it's, because I think it's in the nature of God. It's just God is hidden. Yeah.
Yeah.
And he does all of these things, puts food on our table,
Yeah.
causes the sun to shine, causes the rain to fall, causes the earth to be, hurtling through space behind the sun at the edge of our galaxy and
Right.
all of those things. And, he's not looking for attention or ovations or, he just simply God. Yeah.
Yeah.
And so I think that the sawdust, and the grime and the sweat and the achy muscles and the needing to put his head on a pillow at night and the need to bake or to clean or whatever it is,
Yeah.
um, was just what it looks like to be God in a human life.
Yeah.
And I
You
here's the thing, I don't think the baptism changed that.
No.
I think I think he's the same. And
Yes.
so my actual theory is that Jesus is the servant among the disciples. This is what he says to them. You know, the generals and the kings and everybody have these titles and they lord their authority over you, but I'm amongst you as one who serve. I don't think he means that simply in a spiritual sense. Every human, all leaders need to be servant leaders or whatever, but that he mended nets, he mended ropes, he
Yeah.
washed clothes. Remember,
Yeah.
it's the folded clothes that are what's striking to John at the resurrection.
Right.
He cooks for them and so forth. This is not to say like he turned water into wine for his mother before he did it at the
Yeah.
Cana. I mean, that's why it happens. Yeah,
Right.
because at Cana, because she knows he can do it. He's done it before with her,
Right.
just like
Right.
with Elijah and the widow. Where there wasn't he was capable of providing
Right.
oil, bread, water, whatever it is, fish, bread, multiplication of loaves, all these kind of things, but always in a hidden
Yeah.
sense. Yeah. And but he says these things several times, not just once, that I'm the servant among you. And I
Yeah.
think what gets missed for people is that the gospels don't describe him in his servant role. He uses these words. There's little hints and
Yeah.
pieces and so forth and so on. I don't think he changes. I think that's who he always was, and that's what it means to be God also, not just to be hidden, but to be servant,
Yeah.
and to serve. And so what that means for human beings and what it means for us living a human life, right,
Yeah.
is that this is how God is human,
Yeah.
and we can be human as he is, you know, find the anonymity, find the serving without being seen, be the waiter at the table of your family or of your community or of your people who need you without bringing notice to yourself.
Yeah.
And that would be to be human as God is human, right? But also just to do the menial things. This is what
Yeah.
God does.
Yeah.
And I think we think that glory, and we can get into this, like where it means for power and laying down your life versus death,
Yeah.
and all of these kinds of things. And over and over and over again, as you said, it's really turning on its head all of our assumptions
Yeah. Yeah.
of what it both means to be God
Yeah.
and what it means to be human.
Yeah.
And the fact is that the way he lives this life among us is overturning the fallen order of things,
Come on.
so that turning other cheek is actually the way the world works now, even though you have to have the eyes of faith to see that. Yeah,
Right.
because it doesn't always look like turning other cheek is
Yeah.
overturning
Yeah.
the fallen powers of the world. Yeah,
Yeah.
and to go the extra mile and to serve. And I think what we can get into is like a thing, well, all serve in order to be great. Yeah.
Yeah.
I'll start out at the lowest place so that I can be at the highest place.
Yeah.
And what I think the human life of God is showing us in the Son is that just the taking the lowest seat and taking the lowest place is where God is. And if you want
Yes.
to join God, it's not do this to be exalted.
Yeah.
The exaltation is in the humility. The
Yeah.
exaltation is in the cross. The
Yeah.
exaltation is in serving. And yes, in the kingdom of heaven, you're going to shine as bright as the sun, because of this. But in
Yeah.
this world, you're going to suffer, you're going to die, you're going to be persecuted, you're going to, yeah. So,
No, so
again, like
good.
I said, you give me one little thing and then I go off. But
Hey guys, I'm so excited to tell you about something we've been working on. As you know, the vision of a family story, our ministry is to create media or tell stories that are catalytic for an encounter with the love of God. That's why my brother Joel and I have been writing a new book series called I Changed the World. It's for kids between the ages of 8 and 12. Most of our kids already know the names David, Miriam, Adam, Rahab. They've heard the Sunday school versions. But what if those stories could come alive in a new way that ignites imagination and inspires encounter with God's love? A world where David is a 12-year-old boy alone on a field, learning to hear God's voice. Where Miriam is a little girl watching her world fall apart and choosing to trust that God is good. Where Adam opens his eyes for the first time to discover and explore a world made entirely for him by Father, Son, and Holy Spirit. One of my favorite things about these books is that every one of them has a chapter titled The Stranger. You'll especially love this Jesus lens. Guys, my brother and I have been working on this a long time. We have an amazing team around us, and we're launching 6 books this August, and it's just the beginning. And right now, the Tacos community gets early access. Here's how it works. You can get the first book in the series, David, and pay whatever you can. Or you can pre-order the full 6-book set at a price we set as low as possible. Either way, your purchase helps us get these stories into the hands of kids and families. Guys, I believe these are stories you and your kids can connect around. In fact, I know they are. I've heard the feedback. Okay, pause this episode for 30 seconds and go to the website, iChangeTheWorldOffer.com. Get the David book, pay what you can, then come back. Again, that's iChangeTheWorldOffer.com. Whether you're a parent, grandparent, pastor, teacher, aunt, uncle, this series will engage and encourage the kids in your life to imagine faith, courage, failure, redemption, and what it means to change the world. 6 books releasing this August with many more to follow. So go now and get your copy of David, pay what you can. And again, the website is iChangeTheWorldOffer.com. That's iChangeTheWorldOffer.com. Can't wait to hear what you guys think. All right, back to the podcast. You walked us through how many years you've given to this. I mean, this is a life message as much as it is a book. And
Yeah.
so we're unpacking,
Thank all praise to the living word.
yeah, we're unpacking, we're exploring and unpacking a life of discovering who he is and who we are. I mean,
Yeah.
that's the journey we're on. You've got
Yeah.
there's a couple thoughts
As a
that I,
knucklehead who sometimes forgets meetings that he has and,
sure.
doesn't wash the dishes when he could, or you know what I mean?
Yeah, yeah.
I'm just like the rest of you,
But
but
for me, this journey is one of discovering a greater love, that there is no greater love than one would lay his life down for his friend. And so that's a love that can be trusted,
yeah.
that you participate in. To
Mm,
what you're responding to, then, I have a phrase, I exist to know that he loves me more today than I did yesterday, because I can live in the response. We love because he first loved, so I can live in that response. And
mm,
then what that looks like, what you were describing, I often say that, that scripture, the last shall be first and the first shall be last.
yeah,
If you're playing a separation hierarchy game, you'll get dizzy, because we're
yeah,
playing the game of how do I get first? I got to be last, and but if you think of it in the context of a greater love that is other-centered, self-giving,
yeah,
co-suffering, then
yeah,
what you realize is that what does love require right now? Well, it requires I do the dishes. Sometimes it means I go last. Sometimes it means you go first, and there's a boldness to it. But
yes, yes,
it makes room, and there's a liberty in this love to realize it is other-centered, self-giving, co-suffering. And so, and I say all this because let me just say this: you have this line, and I know that there are folks, because I get it all the time. I'm sure you get it all the time. They're pushing back against the idea because they've been told we're desperately evil, and so we can't elevate ourselves. And this type of
yeah,
conversation elevates humanity and sin, and now we're
yeah,
having a sin. You've got a statement. You said, "For Jesus Christ to stop being human is to stop being God." I
yeah,
mean, it is such a powerful
Yeah, yeah,
invitation to understand our original DNA. We're
yeah,
not dismissing sin.
yeah,
We're actually addressing it head on
yeah,
by rediscovering who we truly are. Can you speak
yeah,
to that? Because I know that that's
yeah.
the, that. Wait. We're talking about incarnation. It sounds like we're all deity now, and we're all gods, and people will sometimes have a knee-jerk reaction, and it's quite the opposite when you understand God as other-centered, self-giving, co-suffering love. There's a trust there. Does that make sense? Am I?
Yes, it does. I think there's several things there. I want to say, in relation to what we were just talking about around hiddenness and service, that it actually is the greatest power. That's the
Yes.
thing. It for so people hear all that and they think, well, is he powerful enough to fix everything? And my point is that that's how God will redeem the world, is in a
Yes.
hidden servant,
Come on.
kind of like divesting himself of everything. It will defeat death. It
Yes.
will defeat Satan. It will
Yes.
defeat hell. Yeah. And all the things that are opposed to the love of God. Yeah.
Yes.
So you don't have to worry about like, oh, we're losing some omniscience or omnipotence, or we're losing,
Yeah.
the sovereignty of God. His sovereignty and power is is greater in surrender
Yes.
than any sort of force that human beings can bring. It will defeat,
Yes.
the
Yes.
darkness.
Yes.
So, but this, yes, where do we stand in relationship to all of this? We're made in the image of God, but we have fallen from love, and we don't always love.
That's right.
Yeah, and so I do think Jesus is showing us that, and he does make it possible that we could live differently. I say this in the book several times. He not ourselves, not in ourselves, but in the human who we are, actually all human beings have been united to now. So he lives the actual human life
Yes.
that all of
Yeah.
us are invited to live.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes. Yeah.
And so to stop being human for him is to stop being God, right?
Yeah. Yeah.
So because the human life he lives is the human life we're all intended to live. And here's the good news, is that we can actually live that life, because he has not only lived it but invited us into the story, into his obedience, into his capacities. And so, like, I think when he tells the woman who, where was the man? But anyway, the woman that they were going to kill because she's found in adultery or whatever.
Yeah. Yeah.
And, and then to the tax collector, he says the same thing, go into no more.
Yeah.
That is not, don't disappoint me again.
Right.
Yeah. That's not,
Yeah.
you really let me down. Now, now show me,
Yeah.
in your own
Yeah.
strength.
Yeah. Right.
I think when Jesus says, go and sin no more, his words grant the power to
Yes.
do. And he is the one who stays, his
Yes.
being human stays with us in order that we might live differently.
Yeah.
And he becomes, at Frederick has a wonderful line about the law, where you'll love the Lord your God with all your heart, soul, mind, and strength, and you'll love your neighbor as yourself. We come to the place in our encounters with Jesus Christ that we realize that is not a command as much as it is a promise. You
Yeah.
will
Yeah.
love the Lord your God with all your heart, soul, mind, and
Yeah.
strength, and
Yeah.
you will love your neighbor as yourself. You
Yeah.
will be human as God is human. And he's coming, to us, and and he is the potential,
Yeah.
and he's inviting us into the reality
Yeah.
of what it means to be human as God is human. And he is the one who is guaranteeing that we will.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's not left to us. So
Yeah.
it's not this weird thing where we're like saying, "Okay, now you all got to go out and do this thing."
Right.
That would just be we would be back
Yeah.
under the law.
It works.
Yeah,
Yeah, under the law.
yeah,
Yeah.
and but there really is a dunamos that comes in this kind of upside down way that you can, by the Spirit, begin to walk as a human being in the world now as Jesus. And
Yes.
we do see people doing that.
Yes.
And we call them in this life and we call them in the life of the world to come saints. Yeah. And that's, they might be smoking 2 packs a day. They, they might be getting angry here and there, or they might be letting us down here or there, but they recognize that they've been invited into, you know what I mean? And there's nothing wrong with
Yeah.
smoking cigarettes or
No, no, no.
any.
I'm hearing you.
I'm
Yeah,
not
yeah.
saying that's, but I'm just saying my point is they might not look like saints.
Right.
Yeah.
Right.
But
Yeah.
but they're not going around the world harming anyone. And in
Right.
fact, what they're doing is being human as
Yeah.
God is human. And we need their stories too, because they're the ones who tell us, especially the ones that are a little shady, tell us that, God is making of and will make of all humans this image of Jesus. Yeah.
Yeah.
And he starts from a position of when he's talking in Proverbs, when he's talking about that, I was among them as a, it's the light. I was his delight, the
Yeah.
wisdom as I made the world.
Yeah.
All human beings were in Jesus,
Yeah.
and the Father was delighting in all of us from before the foundation of the world.
Yeah.
And God doesn't change.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
every human being is in the Son. So Paul says, I am crucified with Christ. I am seated at the right hand of the Father. Yeah. Is
Yeah.
something he came to understand.
Yeah.
And through all of his imperfections and moods he would have, and that's what I love about the letters and about how human Paul is in this sense of, you know, God was, Jesus had said to Paul, go and sin no more. And, 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 and he was on his way, yeah, to
Yeah.
being human as God is human.
Yeah.
And Paul is human as God is human, yeah.
Yes.
And and that's the story of everyone. And
Yes.
once you get a hold of that, yeah, it'll make a big
Yeah.
difference in your life.
Well, and the I love that you can find
What
him
was it?
in everyone. There's a
So
liberty to
it's a little bit like, there's people that say we have to do everything, and there's people who say we don't have to do anything. It's a little it's a little more dynamic than that. But it's all in Jesus. Yeah.
yeah.
There's that, you know what I mean? So, yeah.
Yeah, it's the well, I've told my kids there is uh, we love because he first loved. To me, that scripture, 1 John 4, I think 19, to me that scripture is for me a Rosetta Stone scripture, because if everything breaks down, the law and prophets break down to love, you still can't give away what you don't know you possess.
Yeah.
And so there's this first love that again that we can trust, and it's in where I love what you're saying is it's in
Is on
everyone,
because
whether they're even aware of love's name or
yeah.
not. And so I told my kids early on, if you want to become fluent in the language of God, pay attention to where you feel love, where you participate in love, and where you
Yes.
see love being expressed, regardless of how they identify or what they that other-centered, self-giving, co-suffering love.
Yeah, and in my experience, most people need reminders.
Yes,
You
they
know,
do.
they don't
Yes,
really need reminders that they're not living, a life of love. Yeah,
sure. Yeah,
they need reminders that their origin is in the love of God.
yeah,
They're made by love to be
yeah,
love.
yeah. That's right.
God becomes what God makes. Yeah,
Yes, that's good.
you know what I
I
mean.
Yeah.
Like, that's what really puts the monkey wrench in this whole idea that you're, wicked,
Sure.
that you're
Yeah.
trash or whatever,
Yeah.
is God doesn't become trash,
No. And he
and,
wouldn't die for trash either.
no, but he chooses to be amongst anything he could have been in the creation,
Yeah.
to be
Yeah.
human. He makes us in his image, and it becomes what he makes,
Yeah.
so that he might make what he has made and make what he loves permanent. That's the
Yeah.
gospel.
Yeah.
And I think most people in my pastoral experience need reminders of that. They don't
Oh, yeah.
need, you run into occasionally, you need people that need a reminder, hey, gently,
Yeah.
pastorally, hey,
He's
walk into the fullness of who God has created you to be,
right.
and, stop playing with fire. You know,
Right. Sure.
don't
Yeah.
put your hand on this. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah.
You're hurting people. Yeah. And
Yeah.
you're hurting yourself. But it's very pastoral,
Yeah.
and it's, you have to love, any kind of, critical apparatus or anything where that if it doesn't come from love,
That's it.
it can't be effective.
Yeah.
It's just all, it's wisdom, but we
Yeah.
forget.
Yeah. Well, and even in that, as you said it at the very end, when you address someone's behavior or the consequences thereof out of fear, uh, then you're not speaking to their identity in the first place. You're speaking to their
Yeah.
behavior as opposed to
Yeah.
realizing that our
Yeah.
identity is love. And
Yeah.
when you're not acting,
Remember who you are made in the image of.
that's
Yeah.
it. Let's remember who
Yeah.
you are. Yeah.
Yeah.
That's
Yeah. That's
or
right.
reintroduce you. Some folks need to be
Yeah.
introduced.
Yeah.
Uh,
And, there's all kinds of injuries and trauma and
sure.
things that have been done. We've been sinned against, we sin, and that causes us to forget.
Yeah.
And we need to be reminded. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah.
Of
I,
who we actually are.
and all of this is vulnerable God is the title, and all of this is participating in vulnerability.
Mm,
Um,
yeah.
in our, and, the some of the other places I highlight. I mean, we've worked through some of the book, but there's so much here that you hit the humanity of Jesus in the weeping, in the Lazarus story. I've always found that story to be a beautiful invitation to discover an empathetic and compassionate revelation of who God is and who we are. Thus, even in the context of knowing resurrection is coming. Um,
Yeah. Yeah.
yeah,
I think Jesus, the human life of God, reveals to us that lots of things that we think of as sinful, or we think of as a failure, or we think of as fallen or whatever, are just what it means to be human, what it means to be a contingent creature living in a body.
yeah,
Jesus experiences anxiety without sin.
yeah,
Yeah. He experiences deep sorrow, you know, without sin. He experiences anger
yeah,
without sin.
yeah,
And so they're just what it means to be living as a contingent creature in a fallen world is you're
yeah,
experiencing these things, but he experiences them differently. He experiences the anxiety so that we can experience anxiety differently. He experiences anger so we can live anger in different ways that don't harm us or harm other people. We that are focused on, as you say, the harm and not human beings. To understand sorrow, like to be at the grave of Lazarus, hmm, not as the one who from eternity knows that this is all temporary.
yeah,
Yeah.
yeah, yeah,
And that it's all going to be resolved in the end for the good
yeah,
and only the
yeah,
good. And that's
yeah,
true.
yeah.
But also
Okay.
there is this contingent moment.
Yeah,
I think of our brother John with his son, yeah. And I think of all the other people. I lost my
yeah,
sister, and I lost very early in a vehicle accident, and
yeah,
my father, the young life, is to step into the reality of the sorrow. And so all of these stories of Jesus, I think, are universal he's not just standing at Lazarus' grave, he's standing at John's son. He's standing by John and his wife,
Yeah.
yeah, at the
Yeah.
funeral of their son,
That's
yeah.
right. Yeah.
He's
Yeah.
standing by me at the funeral of my sister, yeah,
That's right.
and weeping with
Yeah.
us
Yeah.
and
Yeah.
sorrowful with us,
Yeah.
and that's the fullness of what it means to be a human as God,
Yeah.
is to weep.
Yeah.
So it's saying so much, and we miss a lot, when
Yeah.
we don't recognize that all of these things that Jesus happens to Jesus in his humanity is revealing what it means to be God, and
Yeah.
that the divine things that he does are revealing to us what it means to be human, and that it's all, as you've said several times, there's no separation in it. There's just
Yeah.
union. Yeah, it is a perfect union of God and humanity.
Hi, how you doing? I'm going to interrupt for a second. I'm grateful to you guys. Honored to be on this journey with you. Can't believe that a family story is about 12 years old. That's our nonprofit. And that Rethinking God with Tacos, this podcast that started as a small conversation with a handful of friends and has grown into a global community, is 7 years. We're in our 7th year. We launched the nonprofit to create media or tell stories that were catalytic for an encounter with the love of God. And we're getting to do it. We've been able to help folks rediscover the goodness of God. Through this podcast and the ministry, we've been able to help people heal from harmful theology and awaken to our beloved identity. Rethink faith through the lens of Jesus, a Christological hermeneutic. And so many folks are experiencing the reality of union with Father, Son, and Holy Spirit. And we're doing this through the podcast, through podcast conversations, through books. I'm going to start throwing them up here. These are books that I've been a part of. The Free to Give, Free to Live series, Prone to Love, Sacred Undoing. Oh my goodness. This is what we're doing. We've got film projects, guys, and storytelling projects that we're working on. I can't wait to tell you about some of this that's happening. And then, of course, there's the community that's begun to gather and grow around this podcast, around this message. The wildly brilliant Facebook group, our online subscriber, Rethinking God with Tacos group, and then our yearly reunion. We're in year 3 on that, and I'm excited about that. On top of that, I'm traveling a lot this year, saying yes to every invitation I could say yes to. I'll be on 3 different continents, and probably every other weekend, I've got somewhere that I get to talk to folks about the perfect love of God. And it's only possible through your partnership. We're a listener-supported podcast, and we are a 501 ministry. And the reason that I'm able to do this is because of your generosity, and I'm profoundly grateful when you partner with us. There's a couple ways you can do it. The online group that I just told you about, Rethinking God with Tacos, is a subscriber-based group. It's $25 a month. We do have scholarships, but it is a way to partner with us, and it's a pretty cool place. You'll get a free copy of this book. We also give away other books throughout the year. I've got resources, teaching material, early released podcasts that are commercial free. We have a Zoom call that we do on a weekly basis that I host. You can also give to us as a nonprofit to a family story at afamilystory.org. And I would like to invite you to do that. Listen, together we're helping people rediscover the beauty of this gospel. And we're helping people grow in a revelation of his great affection and his love. I'm grateful for you guys, excited about what God's doing. I do believe we're in the beginning of a great awakening. I'm honored to be on the journey with you. So I'll let you get back to the podcast. Love you guys. See you soon.
For me, that story is so beautiful. In the past, when you've been taught about power as some form of control
Yeah,
over something, you might read that story and ignore the weeping as some
and we do.
as some, and we do, as opposed to understanding
Right.
that there is a eternal perspective in
Right.
Jesus.
But
Uh,
EMS workers can't, and morticians can't,
no,
and firemen and police officers and, you know, soldiers, people that live at the front line, social workers,
yeah,
counselors, ministers.
Yeah.
People that live at the, in the real world, yeah, where people are still dying. We need a God,
Yeah.
who we understand is with
Yeah.
us in
That's
all
right.
these things.
Yeah.
And the vulnerability is the strength.
Yeah. That.
And the death lying still in the grave,
Yeah.
from there, all the power, let there be light, comes
Yeah.
from stillness in the grave. Lazarus, come forth.
Yeah.
Little girl, rise.
Yeah.
All of that comes from stillness and death in the grave, the descent to the dead. Um, and yes, does it come from like this kind of some of our liturgies, and some of the churches where he the muscle bound guy breaks out of the rock or what. That's not actually what happens in scripture. The stones rolled away and we don't really see Jesus and again until he's got his hands in the soil and he's planting flowers, you know what I mean?
Yeah. Yeah.
So
And we don't
it's not
recognize
in
them.
it's not in these great displays of power. I mean, if you need a display of power, just look at the sun or look at any of these stars or
Sure. Sure.
whatever it is. I mean, there is great power, but all of that natural power that we see flows from the cross,
Yeah.
from the sacrifice of God for the world that he
Yeah.
loves. Yeah, which is a free offering, which is, he turns our murder into this free offering of his love and, is without wrath. Yeah.
Yeah.
And, yeah, is about, you know, rescuing us from death.
Yeah.
Um, and, the fullness of God, you know, God was in Christ Jesus, reconciling the world
Yes.
to himself.
Yes.
Um, so then that takes care of all these weird ideas that people sometimes
Yes.
have
Yeah.
about the cross. So,
You
and,
spend a
and I
good.
don't even like to talk about them sometimes because it just confuses people, especially if they have been exposed to them. So,
Right.
just tell the story.
I,
But for
I
those who have been, you want to give them a good word, yeah, and tell them the story and reorient them.
That's it. That's all that's happening. We're reorienting, rethinking. Uh, the book's beautiful. It runs through the cross. You culminate in the resurrection and the ascension. Um,
Yeah,
to live again beyond death is to be the peace and forgiveness that mend the world. This is a quote that's coming in later in the book, where you begin to explore beyond death.
yeah,
That the resurrection is also the
yes,
reality of our humanity.
yes.
Um, Maybe speak to. I know we're running over our time a little bit, but if you've got a
Oh,
little
we
bit
are
of energy
okay.
left, no, we're good. I
Yeah,
just,
yeah,
if you've got some
yeah.
time, I'd love you to
Here's
speak
what I
to
want to
that.
say because the lectionary is for Sunday, yeah, is the Joseph story.
Okay.
And it is about Joseph and his brothers, yeah. And so we'll be reading Genesis 45 together. And I love that story. And this is a good place to end, yeah.
Yeah.
Um, you know, Joseph is Jesus. Yeah.
Mm.
When he's before his brothers forgiving them, you read that bit about to live again beyond death is to be forgiveness
Yeah.
and to be peace.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It mends
So
the
the
world. Yeah.
night of the resurrection, when he first appears to Mary, yeah, and to the women, and then he appears later to the men that night. He stands among them. They're barred in there, except for Thomas, who's courageous and doesn't care.
Yeah.
You know, he's standing there in their midst, and he says several things. He's always along with the angels. Don't be afraid. Yeah,
Yeah.
the appearance of God is the first word out of any angelic messenger, God's messenger, God is don't be afraid.
Right.
You
Yeah.
know, this is good news. Yeah,
Yeah.
and then peace to you. I forgive you. It doesn't show
Yeah.
up as like retribution. It doesn't show up
Yeah.
as
Come on.
trying to, hey Peter, where were you? Why did you say this?
Right. Yeah.
And so forth. He's just peace and forgiveness. And so and he doesn't change. So anytime he ends up in your story at the end or anywhere
Yeah.
in the middle, yeah, he
Yeah.
just got the same message for us. Yeah. Peace be with you, your sins are forgiven, and so forth. Yeah. So, but this story of Joseph and his brothers is a prophecy in the truest sense because God has made Joseph's story Christ's story, and Christ's story is Joseph's story, right? And all the same elements are there. Joseph goes down into hell, suffers for his brothers, survives to announce their forgiveness, to embrace and kiss even those who betray and sell him into slavery for 30 pieces of silver.
Mm.
Yeah. It's the damn story.
Yeah. 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 Yeah.
So, 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 like when Joseph is being human as God is human,
Yeah.
like, like to, I mean, Joseph, he was prideful and, Jacob was also
Mm.
favoring him. There's all kinds of reasons
Yeah. Sure. Sure.
that the brothers are jealous. Yeah. But something happens to Joseph in prison.
Right.
Yeah. And by the time he rises from hell, he's speaking the same words that the human God speaks because he's become human as God is human. And when you read that text in Genesis 14, the first 15 verses, and every word Joseph says, and you're paying attention, you're really awake,
Right. Right.
you start hearing the voice of Jesus
Yeah.
in the words of Joseph.
Yeah.
And that's the message, man.
Yeah.
The message is doesn't matter if it was 3,000 years ago or 3,000 years from now, the message
Yeah.
is going to be the same.
Yeah.
God is with us. God has
Yeah.
made us. Our origin is in God.
Come on.
God loves what God makes. God becomes what God makes in love in order to make what he loves permanent. Yeah.
Yeah.
And so I, I think we can, like I heard that today. I read that text out loud in the church today at a Eucharist. And I had the same experience that I'd had when I read it out loud the last time in church. I realized Jesus was speaking
Mm.
through the author of Genesis, through the person of Joseph, to everyone in the room. Yeah.
Yeah.
Because it's the
Yeah.
same Lord.
Yeah.
And so I love what you guys are like a lot of what you guys are trying to do and what we're trying to do is like you can pick up this book
Sure.
and like there's plenty of stuff in there that make you afraid or make you misunderstand or whatever. But when Jesus is the rabbi or Jesus is the presence
Yeah.
in the text, all the stories are transfigured into peace and forgiveness
Yeah.
and charity and hope. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah.
And so we're the ministers of this.
Yes.
All you men and women who are listening to this
That's right.
are ministers of this message, ambassadors of this good news. Because I just want to encourage you, it doesn't matter how young you are, doesn't matter how old you are, doesn't matter whether you're a man, doesn't matter whether you're a woman, doesn't matter if anybody recognizes you
That's right.
as a minister of the gospel, anybody's like laid hands on you or anybody thinks that, or whatever it is. Yeah, I don't care if you're a chimney sweep or you're a bus
Yeah.
driver or it doesn't matter. You're made in the image of God and
Yeah.
you know the story to be true and you've had experience of the story to be true.
Yeah.
And so when you give an opportunity, just step out into it with total confidence that you are speaking as an emissary of forgiveness and peace, an emissary of the sacrifice of God for the love of the world, yeah?
Yeah.
And to be an instrument of reconciliation
Come on.
and of union
Yeah.
between Muslims and Christians and Jews, between Russians and Chinese, between all these crazy conflicts that we're in,
Yeah.
to be reconciled within your family, within your workplace, within your
Come on.
community, wherever it is.
Yeah. Come on. That is a beautiful place to shift. Uh, I was a chimney sweep for a while.
Yeah,
I did. I was a chimney sweep.
people
Some
do it.
people, yeah, in
People
the
do
South.
it. Somebody said to me, I talk about chimney sweep all the time, and I had an editor say, nobody knows what a chimney. People don't know
I
what
know.
a chimney
I was
sweep
about
is.
to explain it.
I said, "There's yeah. Tell us about it."
Oh no, well you're in the north. Folks in the south maybe don't know, but you got to clean that chimney every couple of years, or it becomes a fire hazard. And I spent
Fire hazard,
two winters in Western New York on 2-story, three, standing on the top of a chimney with my face covered soot, cleaning up
100%.
chimneys.
Yeah, and you can
I
do it
did.
in a healthier way than you used to could do. So,
Yes, I came home with black in my nose, and even with the masks on. So, and
oh my God.
that was incarnational. Even that I was participating in my humanity and trusting
Can
in
we
God.
tell them once again, is it okay, Jason? I tell people the book comes out September 29th, but you can
Yes,
pre-order
Be,
it.
yes. You
And
want to tell
that
them now?
helps
Go ahead.
people.
Yes.
That helps people.
Yeah.
Writers, Jason Baxter, anybody that has a book that's come out that you like. If you order it before it comes out, it helps.
It
And
does.
so
Yeah.
if what we've been talking, Jason and I've been talking about is of any interest to you, there's the new book that they've put out on, uh, about taco, rethinking God with tacos, but there's also this book that Brazos Press has put out called Vulnerable God, and you can get it on Barnes and Noble,
Yeah.
pre-order, though you'll get it around September 29th. Amazon, the Baker
Yes.
website, anywhere they sell books, anywhere you buy books or like to buy
Yeah.
books. Or if you just
Yeah.
want to go in Barnes and Noble on the 29th and pick up a copy, it'll be there. So,
That's so amazing. Vulnerable God. As I said, I read through it. I have a PDF, which is I haven't seen. That's why I hadn't seen the cover. But you sent me the publisher sent me a copy, so I've been able to read through it. And I
that's an
just
early edit, but yes,
grinning
it's
all
the
the
essence
way,
of the book.
grinning all the way. So yes, I recommend it, and it is helpful even to pre-order. We always talk tacos. Are you just because it's in the title?
Oh, right. I remember this now. Okay.
Yeah. That's
Yeah.
it's just that fun part.
And I wanted to say, I think I know that's Coldplay.
Yeah.
Is that the U2 Live at Joshua Tree album? It's a little bit.
Arcade Fire,
Oh, Arcade
Radio.
Fire, and that's
Yeah,
Radiohead, and this,
yeah.
of course, Joshua Tree down
Joshua
here,
Tree. Now you would
and
know
I
this one. That's my solo
don't.
record that I did
Oh,
20
I was
years
like, I
ago.
don't know that album,
I'm so
and the
proud of it.
one
Still 20 years later, and then that's High Violet from the National.
oh, the National. I love that. I love the National song. I need my girl.
Yes.
That's a great
There,
song. And then, of course, for me, here's the lyrics of all McCartney's lyrics, and this
okay.
is my backstage pass to the U2 Joshua Tree, reunion tour that we went
Uh-huh.
to in Cleveland.
Very
Um,
nice.
so yeah, I got a
Yeah.
little bit of swag, but
Well
not as
done.
much musical energy as you. What about tacos?
No, I love it. I love this conversation too. Obviously, I don't know that anyone's ever asked me to go through and name them, but
I thought
10 years.
I thought the middle one on your right was the well, look, I mean your actual right, but
Oh
I
yeah,
thought
yeah,
that red one was U2 Live at Joshua Tree. It looks like, you know, Bono's like kneeling. He's got the remember in that one,
yeah.
yeah.
It's
But but it, but
yeah.
that is actually that's actually what?
Arcade Fire.
Arcade
Uh,
Fire. Great,
yes,
great group. I
and
love them.
great band, Canadian band. I'm a Canadian, so yes,
Oh yeah.
but U2 is for me they were my formation, and I did it for 10 years.
Their chaplain is the one who gave me the title for
Really?
the book Vulnerable God. Yeah.
What's his name?
Jack Heaslip. He was a Church of Ireland priest, and um, I we had a couple of encounters and letters and conversations. But he had I hadn't seen him in a few years, and I was going to New York, and I knew he was going to be there with the band on a tour. I said, "Yeah, I'd like to see you again." I said,
Yeah.
but I started out by saying, "You won't remember me." No, this was 2012. We had met for the first time in 2004, and So it was, we'd had some correspondence, but we hadn't seen each other in a few years. And I said, "You won't remember me." He goes, "Remember you?" He says, "I still have that Sinai Pontocator that you gave me in a little pocket, and I pray with it, and it reminds me of the vulnerable God that you talk about." And I
Wow.
had never seen those words together before, and I was like,
Wow.
"That's a perfect description of
Yeah.
what I'm trying to do." And that's
Wow.
where, it wasn't immediate, but within
Yeah. No, no, yeah.
a week or something, I was like, "That's the title of this book."
Yeah.
Yeah. So
That's really
that's
cool.
a story. But we're
That
supposed
is
to do taco stuff, and
no, no.
I'm
I
this
love that
we're
story. I'm glad I got that story. I might actually, well, we'll talk with you after. But yeah, tacos, or I mean, we've had you on a few times, and it's in the title, and it's so that we don't take ourselves too seriously, and it's all every good thing happens around a table, and at this point we have tacos reunions. It's wild, man. What we the community that's kind
I
of
love
gathered around that
tacos. It's my
playful
favorite
idea.
food.
Is it?
Oh yeah,
You know what,
100%.
Kenneth? You sent me.
Mexican food, period. And I like
I
all the really
have
fancy Mexican food and the,
from the first time we
Americanized
met.
Mexican food.
Right from the first time we met, you sent me a salsa
Yeah. My
recipe. Uh,
atheism cure salsa.
yes,
One
yes.
one taste and there's a God. Yeah.
I
We've been
remember
making
that
that
now
for
because
years.
we've been trying. We've got different things. We've got a salsa recipe, but
Oh
we've done
yeah.
that a
There's all
handful of
kinds of
times
good
over
ones.
the years. Yeah, yeah. So Mexican, if you're going to have a taco, flour or corn, what is in it?
Oh yeah. So I love carnitas. Yeah.
Yeah,
There's a great taco place here called Imperial. I took Andy to it.
Andy
And they make
Squires.
the best
Okay,
they make the best carnitas
okay.
taco. And that's just carnitas, onions, cilantro, and a little bit of cojita. Yeah.
There it is.
And yeah, a little bit of that sprinkly white tea. It is absolutely out of this world. Yeah. So
That's
good. But
awesome.
I like asada. I like,
Yeah.
you name it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I love it. I
Whatever.
love it.
Put whatever you
Well,
want in it. You could put chicken,
eh,
you could put fish, you could put whatever. But I'm
yeah.
definitely a corn tortilla guy. I'm definitely a little bit. I need a little bit of cilantro.
Yes. Yes.
Don't be throwing tomatoes on there. Maybe some salt if it's a good salsa. Yeah.
Yeah. If you got to have a good
But
salsa, a good
don't
sauce.
drown it in cheese. Don't. Yeah.
No,
Don't
no.
put a bunch of lettuce and salad in there. You know what I mean? So
And spicy, spicy.
authentico. I'm not terribly a spice guy.
Okay. All
Mild,
right.
yeah. So
Well, I'd say I'm looking forward to the day that we sit down over real tacos in person. I don't know that that's happened yet, but I'm going to make an excuse for it at some point. Find a reason to figure out
if
where
you ever
you're
get to
at.
Portland and are hanging out with us with the open table crowd and the conferences we do there
Yeah.
is a breakfast place down the hill from John McMurray's house
Yeah.
that makes chorizo burritos, breakfast
There you go.
burritos.
Uh
Oh my God. You will
huh.
think that you died and went to heaven eating this breakfast burrito, man. It is
That's awesome.
so good. The chorizo is
Yeah.
like off the chart. And if you can have chorizo, I would have chorizo over bacon, chorizo over country salsa, chorizo
Yeah.
over,
Yeah.
any of those breakfast things. Yeah. And they put the potato and they put, they
Yeah.
mix
Yeah. Yeah.
that
Yeah. Breakfast.
salsa
Yeah.
and everything, eggs. Yeah. And it's just
Yeah.
fantastic.
See, right here.
Yeah.
This is the good news as well. This is an incarnational conversation right here.
Good
I love it.
times.
Good times. Where can you be found again? Just a reminder, a website or just Amazon. Where do you want
Yeah,
them to buy the
yeah.
books?
So, in fact, it's at the very back of the book. I can just open it
Look it
up and
up.
it has all my addresses. But like Substack is probably the best place for people to follow me. And that the Substack is easy. It's just Kenneth Tanner. Yeah, KennethTanner. But you can also follow me on Instagram, and that's at Ken Tanner. Yeah.
Yep.
Um. So Either one of those. Yeah,
Yeah,
and I
love it.
share like that piece that I read on the bit of a piece I read on Joseph. Although when I was reading it today, I thought, man, this would have been great for the book. Yeah.
Yeah,
But it's going in the next one because
there
I
you
was
go.
like, oh, I wrote it like 3 years ago,
Yeah,
and I was like, this is perfect. So I know exactly where it's going in the new book.
I
And
love that.
but
Uh,
I got tons of other writing up for.
yeah,
I've been writing on the internet for free for 20 years, and I
yeah.
think that UPS just dropped off the book because I saw
Come
the
on.
brown truck in front of my house. I was like, I said, we're going to get this book while I'm on the air with Jason today, but I'm not going to open it.
Wait
And
for
I'm
the
not going to go
grand.
outside till the show's over, but I'm not going to open it till my grandkids get
Wait
here.
for the grandkids. Yes, sir.
Yeah.
Well, I know that feeling. It is an amazing feeling to
Hmm.
cut open
I know.
and to
What, four,
pull
five
that book
times
out.
over for you?
Yeah, yeah. And we've got
Yeah.
we've got a series of books coming out for young
I'm kind of a
teens.
Jason Clark fan, you know what I'm saying? And so I kind of, I don't know if you have many of them, but yeah, I am. So I
Oh
kind of
man,
know like how many years you've been married. I know how many books you've written. I follow you, man. And you and
the
Baxter
feeling
and
is
John, and I
the
see what
feeling
you
is
guys are doing.
Oh man, I love it. The feeling is mutual. I am grateful and follow you as well, and I'm paying attention. And I can't recommend this book more. I was giddy reading through it. So, thank you, brother.
That's so beautiful and heartening and encouraging, and
Good.
I'm so grateful to hear that that's your response and how
Yeah,
enthusiastically you've received it. Because as I
yeah,
say, like you get close,
yeah,
to things and
yeah,
you don't know anymore whether it's helpful or
yeah.
not. So if it's helpful, I'm so glad, and especially for you to say that makes is really a blessing to me. So
Man,
thanks.
thank you. I'm honored. No, for real. And I think you're going to hear from folks, and it's fun to revisit those places
Yeah.
through those that are being healed and are being impacted. So, thank you, Father Kenneth.
Yeah.
Thank you, man.
Bless
This is
you, Jason.